Hey, Joseph here with another video. And today I'm going to talk about a subject that's pretty dear to me, and that's digging the bargain bins. And that, what I mean is the $5 and dollar bins. And yes, they're still out there, and I'm very fortunate that I have a record shop pretty close by in the next town over, Far Out Records in Far, Texas. And they have really one of the best dollar and $5 bins I've seen in some time, really anywhere. And so I'm very fortunate that it's about 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away. And these are albums that I recently picked up. I think it was last week, and I'm going to share them with you. And I picked up, I believe it's five, six albums, and the total price on all of these was under $25. So it just goes to show you, you can get quality music on a very slim budget. So let's jump in, and I'll show you what I got. Recently, I've been on a very much a soul and R&B kick. So I picked up this album, Johnny Otis, Cutting Up. And this is on the Epic label. You can see there on Epic, the yellow Epic. And the cover is pretty well beat up. It's a cutout album. And it's got a cartoon picture drawing of Johnny and the band. And if you're not familiar with Johnny Otis rose to fame in the 50s. He has that famous hit, Hand Jive. And he went on to have a very long and wonderful career as a rhythm and blues jazz artist. Always promoted black music, and he was a really outstanding musician on vibes and drums. I believe he even played with Lester Young at one point, way back in the early 50s or so. But on here, he's supported by his son, Shuggy Otis, who most of us always remember Shuggy as being very young on these recordings, because he was only about 16. And Shuggy is featured throughout this album. And also featured on here is the vocalist Delmar Evans. I was familiar with Delmar through his appearance on Johnny's outstanding Live at Monterey album, where Johnny takes you on a ride with quite a few R&B blues artists. But yeah, Delmar Evans. They open up with a song called The Watts Breakaway, which really is a funk inspired. It sounds kind of like a cross between James Brown and the Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band. But it's a very funky tune. And throughout this album, it kind of goes back and forth between funk tunes and straight ahead blues. But that's an outstanding way to open. Then they kind of get into a slower groove with Mojo Woman. And also featured on this album is Margie Evans, outstanding female blues, rhythm and blues artist, vocalist. Also featured on here is Sugarcane Harris. You might know him from, he plays with Frank Zappa, and I believe he also played with John Mayall. I have him on a John Mayall album, USA Union it's called. He really outstanding blues violinist and vocalist. So he plays on a couple of cuts. But I was more than happy to get this. Once again, it's a beat up cover. The vinyl is in excellent condition, so I believe I paid a whole dollar for this. Next up, staying with the R&B soul groove, is Jerry Butler, and this one is Ice on Ice. And I look at my watch because I'm monitoring my camera through my watch. But anyways, this is Jerry Butler, Ice on Ice, and it's on the Mercury label. Show you the Mercury. It's that orange Mercury label. And this is a great album. This is, of course, produced by Gamble and Huff. It doesn't have the big hits of the previous album, but it does have Moody Woman, which I think became a hit. And of course, A Brand New Me that Dusty Springfield went on to also make a hit. But this is still Jerry Butler in his prime, and you can never go wrong with that Gamble and Huff production. And it's a great album. Once again, the album cover is beat up, but the vinyl is great. And $5 for this one. Next up, staying with R&B soul, we have the Impressions. Of course, Curtis Mayfield's group. And there's the guys in the back. This is on ABC label. that black ABC label. And the name of this album is We're a Winner. And it is a winner, no doubt, because the group is really incredible with Curtis on a lot of the lead vocals. What I really liked about this album, too, is Johnny Pate arranged quite a bit of it, and really wonderful arrangement, use of horns. But what also is very impressive with this album is the sound. It's got a beautiful, fat sound. The pressing, as far as my the vinyl maybe is in very good condition. It's slightly crackly, but no skips, and it just sounds beautiful. Such a fat sound for, I believe this came out in 1964. But I was really happy to find this one. It's got a couple of tunes. We're a Winner, that's a really good one. It's definitely a winner. Moonlight Shadows, Let Me Tell the World, Nothing Can Stop Me. All the songs except, it's kind of funny, on the last track on side 2, they do a version of Up, Up and Away, kind of out of place. But I was really happy to find this Impressions album. I believe, like I say, $5. Next, we change gears, and I'm a big fan of early Willie Nelson, and this is Willie. It's called Before the Time on the RCA label, and this was a really nice find. There's the back cover. Of course, it's on that RCA Victor label. But what I really enjoy about early Willie Nelson is the songs. They're just really incredible, and a lot of sorrow and sadness and loss, but they're beautiful albums. And even though they're kind of sweetened up with that Nashville sound that Willie would go on to abandon when he went to Atlantic Records and later on to the different labels he was involved with, I always have a soft spot for these great RCA issues of Willie's music. And this one is, it's got One in a Row, I Trade All My Tomorrows, She's Not For You. Really beautiful songs, to make a long story short. And like I say, even with that Nashville sound sweetening, Willie sounds better than ever. I've always loved the phrasing of his vocals, and of course, just a beautiful, wonderful writer. Willie Nelson, Before His Time. I think I paid $1 for this. Now changing grooves to jazz. This one is Boogie Woogie String Along, Rahsaan Roland Kirk. And what's notable, this is on the Warner Brothers label. This was the last label that Rahsaan recorded with. And here's another look at the cover. It's kind of beat up, a little bit of water stains in the back, but overall in great shape as far as the vinyl. And this was to be Kirk's last album, of course, like I say, on the Warner Brothers label. And this was, what's remarkable about this one is this was recorded after he had a stroke where he became paralyzed on one side. So with that spirit that Kirk had, he taught himself to play, and with some mechanical adjustments to his saxophone, to play saxophone with one hand. And the spirit is willing there, even at this late stage of his career, even if his body's failing him, and he plays the saxophone one-handed. It's definitely a different style and different approach, but it's really beautiful because at this stage, obviously, he's mellowed and he doesn't have that powerful presence that he's had when he was blowing those 3 saxophones and stuff in the 60s and early 70s. But it's still wonderful Kirk. My favorite here is I Loves You Porgy, where it's just so heartfelt and just so soulful. It almost has a sense of weakness and sorrow that, who knows, maybe the end was near. And actually the end was near. He died not too much after this album was recorded. But a beautiful album, Boogie Woogie String Along for real Rahsaan Roland Kirk. And lastly, I was surprised to see this one. It's by Rick Laird, the bassist Rick Laird. And some of you might know him from the Mahavishnu Orchestra. He's the bass player in Mahavishnu. And here, it's a straight-ahead jazz album. And what's remarkable about this one, it's on the Muse label, Timeless Muse, the white label. See it there? And what's remarkable about this one, it's a straight-ahead jazz album, and it's produced by the tenor great Joe Henderson. In fact, Henderson appears on, I think, 2 of the cuts. They do a Outer Surge and a song called Tranquility. And just a beautiful album. At the time of this recording, this was Joe's backing band with, of course, Rick Laird on bass. I believe they went to Europe at this time, and Tom Grant on piano. I'm kind of familiar with the name Tom Grant, but mostly know him as a smooth piano player. But here he's playing straight ahead, whether on acoustic or Rhodes. And the drummer here, a guy I had never heard of, his name is Ron Steen, and very tasty drummer, and he propels the music in a wonderful way. Apparently he's from Portland, Oregon. I think he's still alive, I believe, and really tasty drums throughout. But even when they're just a trio, Rick never takes the lead in a way like maybe you would think being a part of the Mahavishnu Orchestra, but very tasty and subtle throughout. He plays the electric bass, which is a little bit unusual in a straight ahead group. But Rick Laird, what a talent he was. I know he passed away just about a year or two ago, but he was very remarkable talent. He was always the rock bottom part of that Mahavishnu Orchestra. But keep your eyes out for this one. I've never seen this one before. Rick Laird, Soft Focus. And I believe I paid $5 for this one. So anyways, that's a look at my budget bin finds that I found recently. Hope you enjoyed a look at them. And if you like this video, like, subscribe. Joseph out.